I'm Whitney.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Deb.
We're three best friends who love nerdy things.
Well, some people think we're nerdy, but we think we're pretty awesome.
This is our Nerdiest Thing.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we will be discussing strong female main characters over 25. Forget the teenagers.
Forget them.
Forget the 21-year-olds.
Also, I don't really want to see or read a 17-year-old having sex.
Yeah.
I just pretend they're older if they're young.
I do too.
I just pretend
I'm like,
that they're
she's
older.
24. She's 24.
Yeah.
Because I was doing a lot of things at 17 I should not have been doing too.
I was playing Dance Dance Revolution. That's all I was doing.
Well, that came out after I was out of high school, but I was definitely playing Nintendo 64 Bond.
Oh, well, yeah.
But was it strip Dance Dance Revolution?
Girl, no. It was with my AP like U.S. history study group.
I thought you were going to say your teacher. I was like, was it just you two? Because
I would have though. Like that's the kind of person I was in high school.
have
Like
you
I would
not
have hung out with
seen
my teachers.
Veronica Mars or Pretty Little Liars or like any of these shows? He's like, hey, I have Dance Dance Revolution. I got the brand new power.
Oh no, they would have been like all women teachers.
Oh, well, I mean, they still could hit
Not
on
a lot
you.
of diversity in Barstown.
Well, they're hiding that they're in love with you then. Because you know they were. So yeah, we're talking about people over the age of 17
Yeah.
today.
So before we get into anything else, Deb, will you please tease our nerdiest cocktail?
Yeah, of course. So, as always, you can find out more about this cocktail on our Thursday episode, or you can see it on ournerdiestthing.com or on Instagram at ournerdiestthing. But this cocktail is called Sabine Space, and it's got a little bit of Aperol and a little bit of Mezcal in it, and it might just blow your face off.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
If I do say so myself.
Yeah, it's really tasty. It's got like it tastes almost cinnamony, like red hotty almost.
Yeah, it's got like a tiny little afterburn.
Yeah, I like it. That might be the cheaper tequila. I'm not sure, but I like it.
I'll never tell.
I heard Mindy go, ooh, that's got a bird. And I don't think it's supposed to.
Well, I had two choices at the store, and it was either $16 or $70.
Now I know. Now I know why you asked me if I had mezcal.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there was a drink that called for it whenever I was doing cocktails last time, and I also subbed something out.
Yeah,
I'm sure
no.
it's delicious, but the most I've spent on like a spirit like that I just wanted was Sam Hewen's gin, because it's amazing and it's worth $65 a bottle.
Yeah.
But we drink the shit out of that too. So,
yeah, I was not going to pay $70. Sorry to you two, but
that's all right.
It still worked out okay.
It tastes cinnamony due to that.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
good.
It. Yeah.
Yay
I
for
like
us.
it. Good job, Whit.
Thank you so much. Let's move into our nerd alert for the nerdy news for this week.
You didn't do it.
Woo! I don't think I did it last week either, actually. I'm giving our listeners a break from that. Do you guys have any nerdy news today?
I do. I just have one book that just came out, actually. It's The King of Sloth by Anna Huang, and it's in the King of Sin series. It just came out on April 30th, and it's a enemies to lovers, no way I would ever date you, forced proximity romance.
Ooh.
So it's number 4 in the series, but you can read it as a standalone. And I know I really
nice.
like her books. I know they're not necessarily your all's vibe, but I always enjoy.
Is that
what
the
I read by
author,
her.
like Twisted Love?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was before Whitney and Mindy got into light choking.
Just a good old hand necklace.
Yeah, that's
what
right.
more can you ask for? Well,
I think you should reread it.
I have a couple of nerd alerts. Morgan Gaucher, friend of the podcast, she is writing the Shadow and Starlight series. Her book 2, Ballad of Beasts and Brothers, came out a couple weeks ago on April 24th. It is book 2, so read A Song of Shadow and Starlight first. But it's enemies to lovers, a slow burn, found family, hidden identity, hidden powers. It's really, really good. I really like that
Is
series
she
a lot.
going to be at Imaginarium again this year?
I think she is.
Okay, cool.
I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure that she is.
Awesome.
I hope so. And then released today, a book that's a little bit different from what I normally read, but it's called Bad Men by Julie May Cohen. I got to read this as an ARC several months ago, but it just released today, May 7th. This is a book about Safi, a feminist vigilante serial killer. Ooh. And she's got a giant...
I love a vigilante serial
She's got
killer.
a huge crush on a true crime podcaster, and when he has a dead body dumped on his porch, it looks like he's being framed for murder. Safi interferes, basically, inserts herself to help him figure out who the real killer is to save her crush. It's really good.
What's it called again?
Bad Men.
Ooh, okay.
Julie May Cohen. So I really enjoyed it.
That sounds really cool.
There's no vampires.
And it's got a really, it looks like a rom-com cover, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's got a very rom-com-y feel. I don't want to compare it to Butcher and Blackbird because it's not.
Nothing compares to
like
Butcher and
it
Blackbird.
isn't, but it's got some of the same vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
I have one too, and it's a little on the lighter side. It's the sequel to The Guncle. So if you've ever read The Guncle, it is such a cute, sweet book, and just funny and real light. And I actually got to meet the author Stephen Rowley at a book signing, and he's hilarious and just genuinely cool guy. So he's writing he wrote a sequel, and it'll be out on May 21st. It's called The Guncle Abroad, and it's basically set 5 years after the original, and the title character takes his niece and nephew under his wing again as they travel through Europe to attend their father's remarriage at a ceremony in Italy.
Nice.
That sounds nice. And I know that you loved that first book.
It was such a fun book. It's one of those things, like, if you want, it's a good beach read. It's a good lighter read. If you want some humor,
like a palate cleanser, if you're deep into, especially fantasy books can be really heavy. I like those kinds of books, palate cleansers.
I like a fantasy, a rom-com, a fantasy, a serial killer, a fantasy.
Mix it up.
I think we talked about this on our audiobook episode, but I don't listen to a lot of deep fantasy. But I listen to romance always, pretty much.
It would be way too hard for me to listen to fantasy like that and understand anything because I can barely keep up with reading it. Well, let's move into our nerdy and dirty. What have you guys been reading this week?
I really wanted to be done with Burner by Mike Trigg. I talked about it last week, and I'm at 95%, but I had to prep for this podcast.
Yeah. So
and,
close.
It's about 80 pages, so it took me a little bit. And, we're like taking notes and stuff as we read. And so I've really liked it. It's interesting because it is set up to be from his point of view, his girlfriend's point of view that gets kidnapped. But then there's also like trial depositions in there and press releases and stuff like that. So I don't think it would be as enjoyable on audiobook because of that. Because it's like typed differently in the book and stuff. And it's just really aesthetically pleasing. But there's some huge twist. And if I've got it figured out, I'm going to be pissed, but it gets good enough reviews that I surely don't. But I've said that about some other things too. So I'll be done with it next week. Damn it. I've only got like 20 pages left, but it has been an enjoyable read, and it's a physical arc that was sent to us. And so, I've really, really enjoyed that. So
nice.
Thank you. I will tag in
the show notes. Yeah. It's there, peeps.
Yeah,
go check it out.
there.
Click on that link and find out. Mindy, what have you been reading?
So I started to read Together We Rot by Skyla Arndt. This is
Nice.
one.
What?
I know. This one comes recommended by Deb. She's been recommending this one
It's
for a while.
so awesomely weird.
I know. I've really, really been wanting to read it for a while. And I don't know. I think it came in through Libby, and I had been like having other things. And I finally was like, I'm reading this one. And so it's YA, but it's very intelligent. And I'm really, really enjoying it so far. I'm only about a third of the way through.
Don't you get Stranger Things vibes, though?
Yes, absolutely. It's very,
In
very
terms
cool.
of the relationships, not the monsters or anything. But
But
it feels...
even there's like a whole dead plant vibe a little bit so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. I mean, I don't know, it's just really cool. It's got mystery and intrigue, and I am really enjoying it so far.
I'm glad. I knew you would, because it's real fucking weird. I love it. I love it.
I still have not read that book.
I'll be
on my
honest. I
list.
don't know if it's a Whitney book. I think it might be a Mindy book, but after
keep
she
it on
reads
my
it, we'll
list.
see. Because it's just a little bit more like emo-y goth type of thing.
Well, I read.
What did you read?
I read a couple of things. I read an arc by.
She read The Bonds That Tie.
No, actually, I did. I read All New Things. I read an arc for a book called Descended, and I can't remember the release date. It's in the show notes. I'm pretty sure it's May. But Descended by Ingrid J. Adams, which this was a fantasy-ish book. I wouldn't call it like full out fantasy, but it's Australia. So there were some things that I did not understand. But it's the 90s. There is magic in this world, but it's a lot of found family, a lot of trauma, a lot of angst, a lot of yearning. It's a YA kind of deal. And it was really fun. It's book 1 of a series. And there is a book 2 coming, but it does end on a cliffhanger. So if you're not into that, then maybe wait for book 2. But I really enjoyed it a lot.
Do you all hate cliffhangers?
No, I love cliffhangers.
I love cliffhangers too.
I usually don't mind.
I would rather be able to like pick up the book right after it, though.
Of course, who wouldn't?
But
Yeah.
I'm getting better about that because now I just have so much to read.
I love the anticipation of the wait.
If it's
right?
a good, well, I don't mind a cliffhanger as long as other stuff happened in the book to
warrant it?
to answer questions. If
right.
if it feels like a book,
They just stopped the book.
especially like a book 2 where it's like you didn't actually resolve anything, you just introduced a whole bunch more problems, that annoys me.
Right.
But not usually. I can usually
that,
handle
though.
it. But I also read, very different from Descended, I read a series by Elle Kennedy. It's a 4-book series called the Off Campus series, and it was college hockey romance.
Yeah, I actually have that. I have that first book. When did you become a hockey romance person?
They keep getting suggested to me
What's
on
the
TikTok
first
and
one
stuff.
on that?
The Deal.
The Deal.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, I have that series too.
I really liked it a lot.
Yeah,
It was
I
good.
did too.
I've had that first book since last year. It's on my physical TBR shelf.
It's a good. I liked the first one.
It's better than Icebreaker,
Yeah, I
right?
think I like-
Is it better than Icebreaker,
Yes.
Mindy? Okay.
I didn't even read Icebreaker, so
I struggled. That book, I mean, the writing was not bad. I will say the author's a good writer, Hannah Grace, but I felt like the characters were not very likable and very immature. And spoiler alert, in the epilogue, there's a pregnancy that makes zero sense and abruptly stops her Olympic career, which she would not be okay with. And that really pissed me off.
I will say in this series there is pregnancy,
I don't mind that.
but I think it was well done in a
Right.
realistic way that I appreciated.
In Icebreaker, she has worked her whole life to go to the Olympics, and she goes once, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm fine with
I
having
did
your
it."
babies."
Yeah.
and then he continues to have a career. By the way,
Sure.
And I'm like,
course.
no, she would not do that.
Yeah.
No way.
I
No,
like
I thought it was
conveniently
well done
forgot
in
about
this
that epilogue. Like I love the rest of the book. So.
I threw it. I was so mad.
It's like, no.
Because I'm like, she was very ambitious. And I'm not saying you can't be ambitious and have children. Lord knows I don't think that. But you can't have kids and be in the Olympics. I mean, you can't have a newborn and be training for the Olympics, really.
Well,
you know?
I would argue that yes, that is accurate.
Right.
I'm sure somebody's going to be like, so and so did it.
Right.
But
Well, sure they did. And I'm saying generally, no, she would not want to, like,
No.
I just won the gold, so I'm done.
Yeah,
Like, no one
no.
in sports does that.
no, that'd be no.
Right. Piss me off.
Yeah.
That's my TED Talk for the week.
Have you guys been watching anything this week?
I started watching The Good Place again.
Oh, yeah.
I love that show.
That show is probably in my top 10 favorite shows of all time.
It's one of Robbie's favorites.
Yeah, it's witty. It's like Kristen Bell is just so freaking funny.
I adore her.
And then if you watch the entire series, man, I was bawling at the end of it. And it gets very poignant. And I think some people were kind of shook by the second season not wrapping up the cliffhanger of the first season. And even though the show's been out for a long time, I want you to go watch it. So I'm not going to tell you what it is.
It is really good.
But it's still worth it. Like,
Oh, I agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like it a lot. So
a good
I
show.
started watching it the other night while I was working on something, and then realized I was suddenly in the middle of season 2.
Oh, look what
Quick
happens.
episodes though. Like that one
Yeah.
goes quicker than say Vampire
Yeah, I think
Diaries.
they're like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
can't
good
remember.
show. The Good Place. It's on Netflix.
It is good. It is a good show. A good show. A good place.
On a
Good
Netflix.
feeling.
I'm like, I can't say if it's a good network or not, because I don't know what those people are like.
I'm sure they're wonderful.
Right. 100%.
Mindy, what are you watching?
I'm actually at the moment not watching anything, but I do have something on my watch list that I'm really excited about. I'm hoping to get to this week. It's called Self-Reliance, and it's on Hulu, and it stars Jake Johnson, who's Nick Miller from New Girl. It's got Anna Kendrick, Andy Samberg, and Emily Hampshire from Schitt's Creek. And it's basically the main character, played by Jake Johnson, is offered $1 million to play a game where hunters try to kill him.
Yeah.
But he finds this loophole where they say he can only be killed if he's alone. And so he's trying to get someone to be with him at all times.
24/7.
Yeah, but like no one in his family or his friends believe
Are you
him.
sure he's not in hell? Because that sounds like my hell. You won't die as long as someone's with you. And I'm like, well, just kill me.
Yeah.
I need my alone time.
I'm going to give up now. I've seen previews and trailers and stuff for that. It does look good.
Yeah,
and
I
I
keep
like
seeing
him,
him,
too.
and then I officially put it on my watch list. So hopefully
Nice.
I'll actually follow through.
I can't wait to hear more about it. Because I'll
In
probably
3
never
months.
end up watching. Yeah, I'll never end up watching it until my kids move out and go to college. So what I'm watching is also my nerdiest thing of the week. So I'm just going
do
to
tell.
kill two birds with one stone here. So first of all, I watched the new Bluey episode. It's like a 30-minute episode instead of
Wow,
7.
you are a fucking nerd.
Well, and I cried 3 times.
I
3
think I
different
might have
times.
saw somebody post about this.
Oh my
today.
gosh.
About what? Like, what was it?
There's a family member getting married, but also the dad, Bluey's dad, took a new job that pays more money in a different city, so they're selling their house. I cried 3
Damn,
times.
Bluey's getting deep.
It's really good. I highly recommend it, whether you have kids or not.
What's the episode
just good.
called, Mindy,
It's
or
called
Whitney, do you
It's
know?
called The Sign. It's
Sign.
like the only one that's 30 minutes.
Okay,
They're all
that's
like 6
the
or
one that
7.
my friend said they were like, move over, Oppenheimer.
I mean,
They're
it was
only
really
6 or
good.
7 minutes.
Usually,
okay,
yeah.
as a parent who used to have toddlers, that shit really needs to be 25 minutes.
Well, they have-
parents can't get anything done in 7 minutes.
They do like 3 episodes at a time.
Right.
So,
Oh,
like, if
okay.
you watched
So
it
is
on
like
TV,
21 minutes. Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
If you watched it on TV, it would be like 3 mini stories.
Got it. Okay.
But we watch it on Disney Plus, so there's like 50 episodes per season.
I can get a lot done with 50 episodes.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
And you know what, parents? If you think I'm a shitty mom for that, you either don't have kids yet or good for you.
Oh man. Well, the
Sometimes
other
you gotta
one.
do what you gotta do.
This is really my bigger nerd, I think, than the Bluey episode. So Robbie was out of town this past week, and so I saw this rom-com thing on TikTok for this movie that was on Netflix, and I was like, well, Robbie's not going to want to watch that, so I'll save this for when he's out of town. So that's what I did, and I was like, this is going to be great, a fun little rom-com. They're going to fall in love, and it's going to be sweet and spicy, whatever. And then I realized about 70% of the way through that this was based on a book by Nicholas Sparks.
Oh shit!
Oh Lord.
Exactly. And I thought, oh no, because they got together, the slow burn was done, they're getting married and happy. There's still 30 minutes left in the movie.
Who died?
Well, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I ended up, it was after midnight, which for me is like insane.
That's like
It
4
was-
a.m. for you.
It was after midnight. I'm sitting in the dark with my dog, sobbing. And I'm texting Robbie because he was on the West Coast, so it was 3 hours ahead, 3 hours behind us. And I was like, I'm sitting alone with the dog crying on our bed. This was a mistake. And I'm like,
Did you take your medicine today?
but I'm like, I didn't realize that it was Nicholas Sparks because if you know anything
you
about
know.
Nicholas
Yeah.
Sparks, something's gonna
called
make you
again?
cry. The movie is called The Choice.
The Choice.
And it wasn't great, but it was good enough. You know what I
good
mean?
enough to
Like
make
it
you
wasn't
weep?
that great of a movie, but it was good enough to make me cry.
I thought you were
If that
going to
makes
tell me
sense.
that you finally realized there were no vampires.
I kept waiting for the
She
vampires
was
to show
crying
up.
because nobody fucked. There was no
I know,
blood.
right?
No
Yeah.
blood drawn.
But I do recommend it. I mean, for a Netflix movie, if you're just going to put something on, it was good, but it wasn't great. It's not The Notebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. There are some things where, like, if you just want to cry, go
Yeah,
watch
go
it.
for it.
If
Exactly.
you need to get it all out, just do
Yeah.
it. Right?
That's what I did, and I felt a lot better the next day, but just
Was
tired.
Chewy scared of you though?
He kind of looked at me a little bit. Like, what's going
You
on?
okay, boo? You need me to call Robbie?
He wanted to big spoon me again.
I was
like,
going to say,
I'll be there for you. But anyway, so that's also my nerdiest thing of the week. Both of those crying,
Okay,
crying to
I
stupid
need
things.
to just make sure that you're not crying out for help because a lot of your nerdiest things of the week were like, I did something and I cried hard.
You know, it's been a real stressful time. But the crying helps, so it's okay.
cathartic.
You know what though? It's healthier than what I do. I just get all pent up and pissed off.
Hold it inside.
Can't sleep. Yeah. I mean, I
Well,
try to hold it inside.
Yeah.
So-
Are you guys listening to anything uplifting and positive? Because I'm not listening to anything fun.
Actually,
you're not.
Or worth
I'm
talking about.
listening to
no.
something very uplifting and positive. So the 502s is a band that I really,
Yeah.
really love, and they've got a new release. It's actually a self-titled album, which is usually your first album, but whatever. But they're just always fun and feel-good music, and it's upbeat, and I've just been really enjoying having that
Nice.
springtime music.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, or like just hum what springtime music sounds like?
No.
I thought you were about to. Is that what it sounds like, Mindy?
That's the Bluey theme song.
No. It's got a little bit more mandolin and it's got some saxophone,
A little bit more singer songwriter.
Bluey! Are you listening to anything, Deb?
All of the parents are like, I listen to this so I don't fucking have to listen to that.
You know what? It's catchy.
Yeah. So I just finished an arc called How to Plot a Payback by Melissa Ferguson. I got it from Libro FM. Thank you so much. And it's a really sweet enemies to lovers, even though she doesn't realize she's the enemy rom-com.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, it's really great. He's a script writer and she's an actress, and he has like essentially a list of how she's fucked up his entire life.
Oh.
But she doesn't know she's done any of it. But it's funny. It's really funny. But now I'm listening to Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose, which is also an arc. So
Nice.
I really love Geneva Rose, but she's campy and funny. And
Yeah.
So again, same thing as Burner. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So more to come.
TBD. What are you guys loving this week?
I'm looking at your notes and I'm surprised we don't have the same thing.
Oh,
Does yours say Whitney?
Did I say Whitney? No. Oh, do you? But you and I can't have the same thing.
No, I'm saying you two. Both of yours, the thing that you're loving would be me.
Oh. No, I'm just kidding.
Not this week.
Actually, I am. You brought me tea. I'm very happy. I because of you, I bought my tea pass for the month. So.
It's so worth it.
Yeah, this isn't even a sponsorship.
Yeah. We are open to sponsorships, McAllister.
Yeah, thank you. Please.
If you're listening.
So Mindy and I drove up to Cincinnati, the Cincinnati area on Saturday, and went to visit J.R. Ward for her book signing and release party for her book called The Beloved.
super fun.
It was us and 1,000 of our closest friends. And Mindy and I always realize that we're not as nerdy as we think we
Yes.
are. Like, for
Isn't
real.
that a fun realization when you go
it
to
is.
something
Yeah.
like that?
Yes.
So JR, we go every year. We have like for years and years and years, and she's so funny. But we also learned, so next year is the 20th anniversary for the first book in the series, the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. It's called Dark Lover, and she wants to do a 20th anniversary ball for it, which would be kind of awesome. And then we also found out when Readers on the River, which is the book fest here in Louisville, it will be back in 2026. And so oddly enough, I think in a minute, Mindy's going to try to convince you all to read the first book in that series.
I
so
am.
Nice.
because every time we go see her, we're like, damn, we got to restart the series. But it's like
It is
24
a
books.
commitment. Yes. And
they're
I
fantasy
always
books.
think, I think I'm caught up. And then Deb's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm
Well,
like 3 books behind.
It's urban fantasy. So if you're not a huge fantasy lover,
Yeah.
but you like vampires, you could definitely read
Yeah.
it.
The vampires I've been searching for.
Right. Exactly. But I will say, I kind of attribute J.R. Ward to helping Mindy and I kind of like click into friends, like because we
Absolutely.
started reading those at the same time, and we'd like go to dinner and talk about them, and we got obsessed with them at the same time, and have continued to stay obsessed for like 15 years. So.
Reading brings people together.
It sure
Yes, it
does.
Nice.
So I do love you, Whitney. So what are you loving since I love you? Say me.
Well, these are also very
Hey.
specific and nerdy.
Say me.
Deb.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
I'm specific
But then,
and nerdy.
Yeah. Well, I officially won my family March Madness bracket.
Oh, that is awesome.
And you like literally just filled it out with no information.
I got
right?
lucky because I randomly pick upsets because they happen every year where a team that you're supposed to lose wins, right? Yeah. And I just got lucky with who I picked to be the upsets, and it ended up actually happening, and nobody else picked that team, and so I couldn't be beat, right? Yeah. So my parents have asked me multiple times, so like, did anybody help you? Did you look stuff up? And I'm like, no, I literally just got lucky.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to really think that I did it on my own, which is a little bit offensive.
You know what though? All you won was pride. Tell them to lay off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's how bad, like, that's how sports stupid I am, and how much my family knows that, because they're like, how'd you do this? But
If they really want to
whatever.
incentivize people, you all need to put in $5
To do money,
each.
I know.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I'm really loving is just since yesterday, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce went to Coachella together.
I saw that
and
all
there are
over.
so many videos.
I
and
bet
they're
I
so
can guess
cute.
what the memes are going to be this Friday for our nerdiest thing.
I mean,
Do Are you into him?
I am not into him as an individual. I am into him in this relationship.
Okay.
Because
I'll buy that.
he seems so clearly like absolutely in love with this girl, and like I bagged Taylor Swift and I am not going to F this up because she is the shit. Like he gives off those vibes a lot, and I'm very into that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
but
she's
him
definitely
by himself,
done a lot for his career, I gotta say.
him by himself, I'm like, he's a good football player because I mean, apparently he's like the best tight end in the history of the NFL or something. Sure. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like whatever. But
I'm the
all
best
the videos,
tight end in Louisville.
all the videos and pictures are really, really cute. And because she hasn't gone to Coachella, but she's talked about wanting to. And it's kind of funny because in almost all of these videos, you can see her security people that are just like standing there, staring, stone faced, like facing her, facing the crowd, and like
They can't face her and nod their head.
zero expression, like not swaying to the music, and everyone else is like drunk and dancing. And you can
They're
it's-
stoned, Whitney. Stoned.
They are just, well, they're something. And the security are just like, I mean, the viewers can't see me, but
Maybe they have such a contact high they can't move their face.
maybe. I don't know. But I've really been loving those Coachella videos of Tavis. Endgame. Hashtag Endgame.
My main Coachella reference from the last year is when all those pictures came out from Scandival.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made memes about that too.
Yep, sure did.
So that was everybody's what we're loving.
No, that wasn't.
No. Did
Although
you
I
not?
did, although I definitely
Deborah,
did love.
Deborah.
I love both of you so much. No, I definitely loved spending time with Deb and going to see J.R. Ward. It's always a fun time when we do that. But then also, and this was more of a love-hate relationship, book fair started at school. And
Yay.
it's so exhausting, but I also love to see kids so excited about reading, first of all, and so excited about this event, and then like how sweet they are to each other. Like, you know, I have an extra $1, can I buy this eraser for so and so, or whatever, you know. I mean, it's just, it really, I think, brings out the goodness in a kid.
Yeah.
It's
What's
really
your
sweet.
favorite item at book fair that was there when we had book fair and the kids still go like gaga over?
Oh, the posters.
The posters and the journals.
My brother used to always buy like a new Ferrari poster. I always wanted scratch and sniff stickers and pencils. That was my big thing.
Well, they don't even do stickers really much anymore. Now it's like the eraser. I mean, it's like big time on the erasers.
Well, they had to stop doing scratch and sniff because then they came out with those like smelly markers and we were all getting high in the class.
Well, and people
They still have those.
Little kids try to eat them.
Yeah.
Oh, because they smell good.
Yeah, because they think
Yeah.
it's going to taste good.
Yeah. Don't give your toddler markers anyway. Come on.
No.
Don't do it.
Well, Mindy, you are going to convince us to read the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Is
I
that
am.
convince me because I've never read it.
I know this is why I'm doing this.
Just for me.
mostly just for you. So, like Deb said, there's like 24 books in this series plus like offshoot series. But
Ooh.
don't get like scared of that.
That's
At least
bigger
read
than
the first
They're
one.
easy
Throne of
reads.
Glass.
They really are. They're easy reads. They look like they're gonna be like a long read, but they're not. It is a very involved world building, but also not like something that it's hard to digest. You know, it's not something new and different. I mean, it's vampires, but they've got like, you know, it's a villain and all this stuff, and so it's kind of intricate, but it's not over the top. This is the book that jump-started my love of reading after having kids, and the book series that Deb and I bonded over and created a lasting friendship from.
Aww.
So it's paranormal fantasy romance. Like I said, it has vampires. This brotherhood of vampires, they fight other evils in their city, and they're all like, of course, hot and ripped and all that. And they have big dicks. And huge.
I was just about to ask.
Right? I knew that was what you were wondering. So the first book centers around a vampire called Wrath, and he's a reluctant hero who, after losing his best friend, must uphold his promise to his friends to protect his daughter, who is a half vampire, and she doesn't know it. And she can't resist how hot he is, and he has to help her learn this new world and figure out her new place in it, and all while trying to resist his intense desire for her.
And his big dick.
And his big dick.
So the Brotherhood they are vampires.
Yeah, so there's
that is
several
the vampire part of
vampires
it.
that they start out with, and then more come in later.
They are a vampire race that lives hiding with the humans, but also they have a villain that's just in this world that they have to fight. And so
Gotcha.
the Black Dagger Brotherhood fight those villains. They're like the warriors of
Yes.
the
Gotcha.
It's. I mean, for me, it was my very first morally gray.
For me, it was my first MM. And that MM, it is a very slow burn.
Yeah.
That's the one that's like book 12 or something, isn't it?
Yeah. But it is so good. And I was like, I think I like this. But I mean, the thing I really love about that series, though, is she introduces character, and this is going to sound like a negative thing, but it's a really positive thing. She introduces characters in book 1 that don't have their book until like book 8. And that's really great because you have all this backstory of this character, and it makes you really connect with what's happening in the series. Because I think when you read the first book, you're like, that was pretty good. And then you get into book 2 and 3, and she has all these layers, right, of these people that have lived together or fought together for hundreds of years. And it's just super compelling.
And the cool thing is the event that Deb and I went to this past weekend is for the new book is The Beloved, and it's like fast forward 30 years, and it's their kids.
Oh.
So, but they're adult kids. They're not. Yeah, they've all
not children.
Right. Yeah.
Adult offspring.
The other, this isn't my nerdiest thing, but I forgot to tell you this. So when we were there, these people kept referencing like, well, last night. So someone posted a picture of like hanging out with J.R. Ward the night before. And so I just wrote, how does one find out about this event? So first of all, J.R. Ward loved my comment. And then second of all, one of the head girls over this group was like, oh, come join our group. We have a gala with her, like a small, like little masquerade gala every year. And I'm like, how did I not know about this?
Yes, please.
So we're going to that, Mindy, by the way.
Absolutely.
And you'll have read all 25 books by then, so you can go through. You could
I'll add it to the list.
You could read those 25 books in a month.
You probably could.
But I got to reread The Bonds That Tie. I got to reread ACOTAR.
We have another From Blood and Ash, or I guess the Flesh and Fire series coming out. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll have time. Well, let's get into our nerdiest topic. Strong female main characters over 25.
Can we talk first about why we think this is important?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I just want to say, we've talked ad nauseum on this podcast about, especially in like the fantasy world, there's a lot of 18-year-old heroes. And for me, sometimes I'm like, okay, you're an 18-year-old hero that's never left your hometown, yet you're sexually deviant in all the best ways and know how to fight off panthers.
Or you're a virgin.
Or you're a virgin. That's the other one. Now, we talked about this too. There are 1 or 2 books that there is a reason she's a virgin, right?
Right.
But generally, please, just they don't need to be 18. They don't need to be virgins.
Yeah.
If anything, the books I'm going to talk about, I love them because the people are more mature. They know what they're talking about. They've like been through some shit, which also makes their backstory a little bit more compelling. But anytime I find one, I'm like, oh, thank God someone did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was my problem. We were going back to Icebreaker. They were like 19 and 20.
Yeah.
And it showed.
Yeah.
Like it was not fun for me to read. So
Yeah. I know sometimes it can work in the plot to be inexperienced and to be young, and because a lot of
you can't suddenly be experienced.
but I know a lot of, we're a spoiler heavy podcast. So From Blood and Ash, part of the plot is not knowing the truth of the culture in which you live. Right. And I understand that characters in that kind of plot device where there's all these secret things that you don't know about your world, it makes sense for the character to be young because you won't have seen things to change your mind or make you ask questions.
And
I get that.
She's a virgin because they hide her away.
Yeah. Sure.
Not because she wants to be.
But it's such a trope in these books to just be young for no reason. Just, I'm pushing 40. We're older gals. We're not,
we're still badass.
I'm closer to 50 than I am to 21.
I could fight off a panther.
Sure.
I'd give them my mom look and it would be like, shit. Sorry.
I want to read characters that are more like me.
And here's the thing. Even 22 or 23 is better than 18.
100%.
Right?
100%.
But still,
yes.
like, the books I'm going to talk about, 3 out of the 4 of them are like some of my favorite reads. And it's because there's just better character development when they're a little bit older.
Yeah. I concur. You want to tell us your strong FMCs?
Sure. I was surprised because I thought I would have more fantasy on my list, and I have like zero fantasy on my list. The number one on my list was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Such a good book.
It's and talk about an older female main character. She's a feisty old lady, and then her interviewer is older as well. She's a very determined interviewer, and she's been through some stuff, and it's full of intrigue and glamour. There's just something special about that book.
Whitney had my daughter's copy for a year and didn't read it.
Yep. I was just about to say that exact same thing.
Here's the thing about that book, though. I read that in a day, so you could read it in like an hour.
Well, gotta find that hour.
You gotta not read Bonds That Tie this week.
Just skip one.
That's a hard
or two
ask.
Bonds That Tie.
That's a
Slow
tough.
down on the Bonds That Tie.
That's a tough ask, you guys.
I know.
Evelyn Hugo's not going to make you horny.
I was going to say, I was just about to say, The Bonds That Tie is good for my marriage. I don't know. I gotta keep reading it.
I don't know. Evelyn Hugo's good for your soul, though. I think
It is. I agree.
And then
Soul, vagina.
That's
Sorry.
where
we can cut that out.
No, that's
not.
where Whitney's soul is shown.
Resides. That's where I keep it.
oh my goodness.
Sorry, go ahead. Tell me more about our strong female characters.
And it's funny looking at these two. There's really not a lot of sex in any of these either, which is odd for me.
Wah,
also,
wah.
I know, like I'm
So, Whitney, what are your books?
I know I'm giving the hard sell, aren't I? My other one, and my next one is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman.
I like that one.
It's such a great book. It's got a quirky, neurodivergent female main character. She doesn't really start out strong, but her persistence to better herself and to be willing to open her heart really shows her strength of character. And it's just, it's definitely got some sobering scenes. It's not all, fun and games, but it's got some really light, fun moments in it. And the male character is really funny too. I think they have good chemistry. And then this one has a little bit of sex in it.
Hooray!
Yay! Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. I actually read this one, I think, earlier this year. And she's a divorced romance writer, and she falls for the Hollywood star who was cast as her ex-husband in the film based on her semi-autobiographical book. Semi-autobiographical book.
That's a big word.
It is. It really doesn't get more badass than publishing a book about how you told your ex-husband to basically fuck off and then falling in love with the guy that's playing him.
That's portraying him. Yeah.
Yep. So that was a fun one, and also a quick read. This one is not a quick read. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even think about that one.
If you want a strong female main character who's going to like change the world, I just feel like it's a must read for any female living in this day and age that we are in right now. But be warned, it is a little close to home.
I was just about to say it's a little too real.
I think that's the same as Hunger Games. Like we're just like a couple of laws away from it.
Yeah, I know.
And I think that's why it rings so true.
Yeah.
It's a great book.
And I just have one more, and it's Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. It's another quirky but solid character. She's a badass woman in a male-dominated field. So, like, she's a scientist. Set in the 60s, so she goes through it with that. So, but another really, really great, another quirky character. I find myself drawn to those characters. If it's not a romance, it's a quirky female character.
Nice. Those are all great recommendations.
Thank you.
Good job, man.
Now give us some fantasy and some dick.
Well, I wrote down Tessa Bailey because some of her FMCs are young, but a lot of them are older than 25 or 25 exactly.
Yeah.
So Fangirl Down, Unfortunately Yours, Wreck the Halls, Make Me, It Happened One Summer, and Hook, Lion, and Sinker all have 25 or older FMCs. I've talked about every single one of these books in previous episodes. I love Tessa Bailey. She always writes fun, spicy, really witty, just fun to read
funny.
rom-coms. Yeah, they make me laugh. They have good feelings, good spice.
They've also made me cry though.
Yes,
I cried at the end of
good.
I cried at the end of It Happened One Summer. It just hit me, and it wasn't even like a crying scene. I just thought they were really sweet.
I was double checking, like Googling these books because I was like, I'm pretty sure this one's 25 or older and this one too. So I was double checking, and Google kept giving me all these like negative reviews for these books. And I was like, no.
fuck you, Google.
Yeah, like, hold up. That's no. But yeah, a lot of Tessa Bailey's female main characters are over 25, so I recommend those. I also have the Lost Wells trilogy by friend of the podcast, Kate Gately. I've talked about those books a lot in previous episodes as well. The female main character, Julia, is 30 years old in book 1 and has a couple of birthdays through the series. So she's a woman in her 30s, not just in her mid to late 20s. She is an accomplished woman with magic. She's known as a magic bearer and is working to literally save the world from an evil sorcerer. So
when you said magic, I was hearing like mad skills.
She's got that too. Yeah, she's got that too.
But I don't really think those exemplify the feeling of Kate's books.
Right.
She has mad skills.
She does have mad skills.
Magical, intelligent powers.
Yes, 100%. I highly recommend the Lost Wells trilogy. And also, friend of the podcast, Whitney Dean, has the Four Kingdoms series that is not complete yet, but the last book is en route. I guess she's working on it right now. So book 1 is A Kingdom of Flame and Fury. Raven, the female main character, she is 25. She's orphaned and is trying to hide the fact that she has dark magic and thirsts for blood, while also trying to be the best queen possible for her people. So she's really multitasking there. And a handsome stranger shows up and she starts having crazy dreams. Everything starts to change. She's got like real good spice.
Dreams.
Some sexy dreams, but a lot of kind of scary dreams too, with the dark magic going on. But that is a really great series. But again, it is not a complete series, but please go check it out from Whitney Dean. And then last but not least, Nesta Archeron. She is 25 years old. A Court of Silver Flames is Nesta's book, but you have to read the rest of the Court of Thorns and Roses series first.
If you say, well, I hate Nesta, you still need to read the book. Boo. It's very, very important. There's a lot of big plot that happens, and you're not supposed to like Nesta. Yeah. It is okay that you don't like her. Yeah. You will understand her better.
And I'm going to talk more about Nesta in our Thursday episode, too.
Oh, can't wait.
But yeah, Nesta is my number one. I mean, go back and listen to season 1 of this podcast and hear me extol Nesta's virtue in almost every single episode. Yeah, right. I love Nesta, and I'll die on that hill that Nesta is the best. So
go Nesta.
Go Nesta. Yeah, I love her, and you should too.
I do.
Yeah. Deb, what about your female main characters?
Well, we've already talked about the Black Dagger Brotherhood, but one of the things I really love about this series is the vampires seem human until they're 25, and then they start to go through their vampiric transition, which I find very interesting. There's some pretty heavy steam in these books, but we have full-fledged adults in them, with some of the humans being like in their world in their 40s. And of course the vampires in them are like a couple hundred years old, but it's all adults.
Yeah.
So the other book I wanted to talk about was actually recommended by A Court of Books and Dreams in our Instagram channel, which you can come hang out with us. It's called Kilt Trip by Alexandra Kiley, pardon me. And I've not read this, but it's about a travel consultant with extreme wanderlust that heads to Scotland only to meet her opposites attract guy who has like a Sam Hugh and Jamie Fraser vibe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah, I need to read that. Add it to the list.
I think it's a little rom-com too, so it could be a good little palate cleanser. My third one is King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. And I can never get enough of this book. Yeah. I've read it so many times. It might be my bonds that tie.
Yeah.
Because I have it in audio, I have it on Kindle, and I have a copy. So the FMC refuses to marry at the age of 26, but ends up in a forced proximity enemies to lovers type of union. But what I love about her is she's sexually assertive and does not take bullshit from anyone. Like, she has to marry into this other kingdom. And, I think a lot of times the woman would be written as like meek and like, I don't want to piss anyone off. And she gives zero fucks.
Yeah.
I love it so much. So there is a second book called, what's the second one? Queen of Myths and Monsters. Yeah. And then I believe the third one's coming out sometime in 2025. So I'll have to wait a little bit because Scarlett's writing a lot of other stuff and just finished up her
Hades and Persephone series.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So my final book is The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. This is an urban fantasy series that I just read this spring, but book 3 comes out at the end of May. So this series is about a woman named Diana in her mid-20s that gave up her life to save her sister thousands of years ago only to be tied to an immortal being who's like set on ending the world. She's a shapeshifter. She wears stilettos everywhere she goes, but will literally rip your heart out of your chest. So ladies, next time a guy calls you crazy, tell him it could be worse.
Yeah.
But I love Diana's brand of crazy. I highly recommend it. She's amazing. I would say, especially on the second book, there's some grief trigger warnings. So just, look at those before you read them. But the books are really, really amazing. I can't wait for the third one to come out. So, yeah, there's your fantasy, babe. I did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Lots of great recommendations. And listeners, please let us know your favorite strong female main characters over 25. We are always looking for more.
Yes.
For more older than teenager
Older and
main
wiser.
characters.
They need to be out of college, you all.
Yeah. And if they're not, I'll just pretend that they are. That brings us to our nerdiest thing of the week. And I already shared mine, the crying at silly things. So you guys tell us.
It's not silly that you cry.
Well,
you can feel your feelings.
I do. I feel them deeply and often.
So mine is we're going to have Elise Kova on the podcast, which I'm
Yes.
so excited about. So I've been going back and forth with her PA, and I suddenly get an email from Elise in the Our Nerdiest Thing, and I almost peed myself. I was so excited. She is so cool and so awesome. And if you've not read her, she has the Air Awakens series. She always talks about how she couldn't get published. She published on her own, made her own rules, just like Scarlett St. Clair did, and then has gotten huge from it. And
Yeah.
Awesome.
what I really love about Elise and Scarlett St. Clair is they're like, you know what? If you don't want me, I know these are amazing. So I'm going to get them out there and I'm going to prove to you
Yeah.
that they are, right? And they have both worked really hard for where they've gotten. So, and I'm especially thankful to Elise because she's technically on maternity leave until Imaginarium.
yeah.
And so she's going to chat with us while she's on leave, which
That's
I appreciate.
awesome. Thank you, Elise.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So my nerdy thing is really also my husband's nerdiest thing of the week. So
The struts.
no, I got an amazing PR box from One More Chapter. They customize them for you. They ask you questions and then they put stuff together that they think you'll like. And it was really spot on. But I wanted to do an unboxing video, but I wanted it to be a little different and I didn't want to show my face. And so I made my own little stop motion unboxing video. And the cool thing about it was I didn't have any way to attach my phone to a tripod. And so I asked Darren, I was like, will you 3D print me something that'll throw on there so that I don't have to so it stays steady. And he went all out. I'm telling you, he spent an entire day 3D printing stuff for me, rigged up this whole thing so that I hands freed this thing. It was amazing.
That is the nerdiest thing right there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
3D.
It's also my husband's nerdiest thing. But yeah, I was so proud of myself. I definitely have some work to do. But for my first try, I thought
You did good.
I really liked it, and I had fun doing it.
You
so.
got your young adult child's seal of approval.
I did. My
which is-
20-year-old child said,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's really good, Mom."
Yeah, I said that's high praise.
It is. It's very high praise.
Yeah, good job. Well, that is it for today's episode. Be sure to listen in on Thursday. We'll be talking about the prologue through chapter 6 of Crescent City, book 3, House of Flame and Shadow. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Like what you heard in this episode? Follow Our Nerdiest Thing on Instagram at instagram.com/Our Nerdiest Thing or Facebook at facebook.com/Our Nerdiest Thing. We love hearing from fellow nerds. Email us at ournerdiestthing@gmail.com.